Your client's table should look something like this. So basically, this drives all of the automation. If you were able to import your data, you will then notice the services that we schedule for, beginning with accounting, have various either drop downs or tick boxes to select from. And this is going to automate how the tasks schedule. So for accounting, you will then have various clients who either get processed monthly, annually, biannually, etc. And then a start month. If the period is not monthly, you can then specify the first month of their financial year so that it schedules in the correct cycles. You can also then select a custom due date for each client when their accounting process should be completed. If you do not change any of our custom due dates, then there are defaults. So for example, accounting is for the 15th of every month, and payroll, for example, would be the 25th. But you can customize a lot of the tasks in that way. And then the VAT that we schedule for is based on how they are registered with SARS. So you need to then specify if they are a monthly, even, or odd vendor. And you will notice how they then schedule with the correct due dates to the closest working day of the last day of the month. And then, as I said, the payroll we schedule for monthly, weekly, and bi-weekly. And then we've got the EMP 201 returns, which will schedule for the 7th or nearest working day. 501s, income tax returns, provisional tax, and turnover tax. And then UIF, you will see if you've ticked any of your clients when you imported them. In the payroll table, you are going to notice quite a few of them popping up here. But the table specifically was designed for clients that are not necessarily registered for pay-as-you-earn, so smaller entities, or domestic clients, so that you can track the U-filing process. So you are welcome to select your clients that are registered for PAYE and UIF if you want to make sure that the declaration gets sent, but this is more specifically for the use of U-filing. Once you have set up your tasks, you can make notes here. This is a really cool feature. The bank statements column in the clients table, there are 3 options to choose from to specify how you receive the bank statements for a client, either by bank feed, requesting them, or downloading them yourself. And if the option is request statements, in other words, every month your client needs to email them to you. If you have a client that's like that, you will see that column pulls through to the accounting table, and you can then keep track of the clients that you need to request the statement and then mark whether the statement has been received. And we have built an automated email that you can access under setup, under process. There is a process called please send bank statements. Now you can schedule this by clicking on the schedule and selecting the dates. For example, ideally the 1st of the month or the next working day. And this will send an email to the client, to the main contact in that accounting record, where the selection was request bank statement. It will send an email to them asking for the bank statement of the month that has ended. So you will see in accounting, we do schedule for August and September tasks, for example, because sometimes you have to do things for a client in the current month as well. It's not always historic accounting, but the process email will not request bank statements for a month that has not yet ended. So it's not going to ask them for a September statement until the 30th of September comes to pass. And the email is great. It looks like this. So it will say request for statements, and it will address your client and copy the accountant. It will copy the accountant that's assigned to that particular task. It will then request the contact person to send bank statements for the company name for the period that is ending in that table. And then it will sign off as the responsible accountant. And if you click reply in Outlook, it will reply directly to that accountant and they can attach the bank statement. It is important that if your clients do not need babysitting in terms of sending their statements, that you do mark the statements as received so that they do not receive an email when they have in fact already sent you their statement. You just do need to make sure that the tick boxes are complete. And if for whatever reason next month, when October comes around and the August task has not been archived yet, and the statement block has not been ticked. So say, for example, this is a bi-monthly client and they only send you statements every 2 months, for 2 months. You can leave August and September in the table as unticked, and they will receive 2 emails requesting August and September statements respectively. So it's a really nice automated feature. And then at the very end of the table is a column for the SIC code. If you open the record, it is higher up. And we've connected to the Stats SA website for this list of SIC codes that you need to complete with every year's income tax return, mainly for sole proprietors or SIPC registered entities more specifically, where you've got to give this industry code, and the search is really user-friendly compared to what e-filings drop-down is. So you can search for any keyword here and store the code here for easy reference when you complete their tax return. We are going to add the profit source code as well. At the very end of the client's table is a summary report that, if you click on it, will give you a summary of the client's information as well as any tasks still to be completed. So if you click on the arrow, this is a live overview at any given time of a particular client with their information, as well as the people in your firm who are assigned to them. And then any tasks that have yet to be archived will actually show up in detail. And you can then keep track of this and either archive the task or do the work itself. That is a really nice feature. Another feature that we have introduced, and again, mainly for CIPC registered entities, would be the directors tab. Currently, there is a directors column in the main table, but you can only store their first name and ID there. So we've introduced a subtable, and it's really, really nifty. You can then click on add record to capture the directors. The client that you opened will default to the company. If the director is an existing client, you can select their name from the existing client dropdown, which connects to the client table. You can then save their type of directorship and date appointed. If you click save, any information further than that is in the client table for that existing client will populate. So if Charmaine's ID number and address is saved under her client information, it will automatically pull through to the directors table so that you don't have to capture the information a second time. It's a really quick and easy way to reference the directors for any company, and the information pulls through from that client. If they are not an existing client, however, so in other words, you don't perform the tax for them, you can then just type in their name and the information that pertains to them. We then have a share register, which again links to the clients that you are on. And if you click on that, you can generate share certificates in a really stunning format within minutes for a company. So let's say it's either a newly registered entity or an existing one. You can capture the information of each shareholder, their number of shares, and when you click save, the certificate number and shareholding will calculate. When you add a second shareholder in the same class of shares and you click save, all existing shareholders' percentage will update. Okay, so there you can see I was on 100, now 33, and the certificate numbers add up by 1 each time. Should a shareholder give up their shares and you complete a date under date seeded and you click save, then all the existing shareholders will then recalculate their shareholding. If you click on the certificate report, the share certificate generates and you can save it to PDF and it can be signed. So there's the PDF. The shareholder who seeded their shares, if you then view their certificates, it will show that it was cancelled and at which date. So this is a really quick and easy way to generate share certificates and a share register, which if you wanted to, you are able to download the share register. You'll see the share register for all of your clients will be available under the share register table. And if you want to download a report for a particular company, if you click on the 3 little dots in the heading, you can then filter on that name, and then you can download it to Excel to then save as a report. So that is the clients table. At the very top of your database, you will see a table called All Tasks Due. This is a dashboard of your accountants, your staff members, and the various tasks that are assigned to them. You can see the various task headings there and the due dates applicable. And it is color-coded, so red means that the due date has passed. Lazelle, for example, has missed a compensation fund return due on the 12th of August. This due date must have been changed manually. But in any case, you can see I clicked on the number to then go to that task, and you can see if the task has been worked on, if any notes have been made, and then take it up with David as to why that task has not been completed. If you look at the dashboard, red being the due date missed, yellow is due within the next 7 days from today. So this changes every single day. And then white is upcoming tasks. You will see that I changed the rows per page by changing it from 50 to 200. I find it's less cumbersome to scroll down than to scroll right. And then other features on the tables is if you scroll to the right and you notice that the first column is no longer visible, which is usually the client name in a table, just click on the lock to lock it, and then you can scroll right and still see the record that you were looking on. Okay. You can also, as I've shown you, filter on any column, and you can filter on multiple columns. So you can see here I've filtered on Jane, and these are her tasks. And if I wanted to filter on any multiple partners or managers here, I could do so to really drill down to what is coming up. You can leave the table and come back, and the filter will stay. If a table does not appear to look the way you expect it, just check if a filter is active and then click clear if you want to reset. The other really great feature that's newly introduced is that you can manage your own columns for any table, and it will save and store to that device. So on your computer, if you want to rearrange, for example, the accounting table to see something more towards is it completed, you can click on manage columns. You can first of all make them visible or not. Okay, so if there's certain things that are not important to you when you are looking at a task table, you can hide them. And you can also rearrange them simply by clicking on and dragging them or clicking on the up and down arrows. Okay, and this way you can tailor any table to how you use it and how you find it to be the most efficient. And you will see if you hide columns, which I will do now. So now the view is much shorter. If you click on a record and expand it, they will still be visible in that view. Okay, and I expanded the view by clicking on the arrow over there. Okay, that's a really neat way to customize how you view each table. Our next feature is the My Chats table. This allows you to converse within the app with your staff members on any clients, any record that anyone could be working on, needing assistance on, or making comments on. Say, for example, in accounting, Lizelle is the accountant, but Yapi, the partner, deals with the client directly or more directly, or she needs assistance or needs him to review her management reports. She can begin a conversation by clicking on any speech bubble, and you will see that the chat opens. Lizelle can chat anything that she likes here, but if you want to address it to a specific staff member, type the @ symbol, and you will see that the full accountants list of anyone who is a user in the app pops up, and she can say what she needs to say and click send. And then when Yapi logs in, if he goes to the My Chats table, he will see a chat has begun on this date. And if his unread message count will show as 1, and then he can click on the 1, it will take him to the table. And if he opens the speech bubble, he will then see the message and can respond. If you open a chat, your unread message count will go down to 0 now. If you are then done and he's replied and the task is done with, you can change the status to completed, and the chat pops away from the chat table. Okay, it doesn't get deleted. Should Lizelle begin the conversation again, Yapi will then see a new chat in his My Chats window. Under the reports table are quite a few reports, and the first one being the data audit, which just is a bit of an integrity check on your clients table and various other tables. You will see here in the accountant setup table where you invite your users that certain people have been added to this database but do not have any rights or access, but have been assigned tasks. Okay, so this is an integrity check on that. And then in the clients table, we are here indicating to you that turnover tax and income tax, as well as provisional tax, has been scheduled for this client. And if a client is registered for turnover tax, you do not need to tick the income and provisional tax columns for them, because we handle the full tax type in that table for all 3 payment types and times that they need to do. So that's a bit of an integrity check there. And then we have the to-do list, which is a summary and detailed report of the all tasks due dashboard. You will see the same color coding again. And if you go further in the pages at the top there, it's going to give you a detailed list per task, per client, per accountant that you can work through. And you can also save this to Excel or PDF for further analysis and discussion. And you will see how lovely it splits to separate tabs there at the bottom. This also gets emailed on a Monday morning, that same Excel report, so that you guys don't have to stress about missing any deadlines. Before I get to the time reports here, I'm going to show you the firm summary report. This is a dashboard again of your clients and their entity types to basically show you the various entity types that you have, as well as the rate groups that they belong to, which I will explain. But just a nice summary of the spread of clients so that when you're planning staff and department growth, you can see what is needed where. The other dashboard is the VAT returns table, which is just a summary of active VAT return tasks who have not been worked on. At the end of the month, towards deadline day, you want to review this and make sure that all of these August tasks, for example, have been paid because their deadlines have been missed. In terms of the timekeeping in the app, you can time on any record by opening it and clicking on the play button that is now turned blue, and it will show you which clients and which task you are currently working on. You can leave that table. The timer will continue. You can log out of the app. You can shut down your computer. You can lose electricity. You can lose internet. The timer will not stop. So there's never any risk of losing time. But the catch there is that you do need to push stop. If you push stop, you will see the summary of time is under the time log department here. And if you come to the time log, you will see immediately any time worked by any staff member. And so it's really real-time timekeeping, no backlog catching up. If you need to amend a record because you timed, let's say, over the evening you forgot to push stop, you can click on a record and simply amend the end time and the duration will change. I encourage my staff to review their time daily and weekly to make sure that no time has been forgotten to push stop and that everything is reasonable within the type of task that has been completed. If you forget to time, let's say, for example, you rushed into a meeting and you didn't time for the meeting and you need to charge the client, you can add a record manually by clicking there, selecting the client, assigning the accountant, the description. You can search here for various descriptions. You can make a note, and then you can add the duration and save. I skipped ahead a little. The accountant table is where you're going to invite your users and then assign their roles to them. And so here you can tailor what that person's job description and title is so that they access the correct tasks and tables in the database. We recommend having one admin per database. And the reason for that is an admin can delete a client. If you delete a client from the database, all of the tasks scheduled for them, whether it's current or archived, will be deleted as well because the database doesn't know who to link it to anymore. And so we recommend one person having that responsibility just to protect your client's information. We then have the partner role, which has exactly the same access as the admin, other than being able to delete a client record. Okay, so if you have equal rights to the firm, you would then have one admin and then partners for the other people. We then have the bookkeeper or accountant role, which is a all-rounder. And so typically a manager, but not yet partner in the firm, who can see all of the tasks and access all of the tables, but like I said, don't have the same access as a partner would to billing information. We then have a custom role. This allows you to take a staff member and separate the access that they have to the various tables so that their user experience is more tailored to them. So if you have someone who is solely appointed to do CIPC maintenance, you would then assign the custom role and assign the sub-C department. And likewise with accounting and payroll, if you have someone who does only bookkeeping and payroll, you can then assign that to them and they will not see the other tables in the database. We also offer a free of charge assistant role, which allows you to invite somebody like a personal assistant or receptionist to the database free of charge. So they do not count towards your license fee, and they can access the client table and the ad hoc tasks and then basically maintain client records and perform administrative tasks. So you are very welcome to use that role free of charge. Okay. And then we have a filter on earned data checkbox, which means if you invite someone to the app, do you want to see only the clients that they are assigned to, or do you want them to be able to see all clients? And I recommend leaving this off if any of your staff help each other when someone goes on leave. So in other words, when Lizelle takes leave, Lynn covers her clients, and vice versa, then leave this as an X so that they can see the clients, and then rather in the particular task table, they can just filter on their name in the accountant column and see the work assigned to them. Okay, so you can see here the view will look like that, but they can just filter on their name while they're doing the work they know is assigned to them and have a more tailored view then to look at. All right, so that was the accountant setup. We then have the firm settings table. Please complete as much information here as you can. It's a quick way to reference practitioner details and firm information. In terms of the timekeeping, we have a lovely report which I'll show you called the time to invoice report. If you apply any kind of rounding to your billing for time that is worked, please specify it here. So you can leave it blank. You can round to 15 minutes, an hour, or to the closest minute. If you do that, when you click save and you view the report, any time that is logged, you will see a true duration as well as a rounded duration. You can see the actual time worked as well as the rounding time depending on your setting. That is very important so that you don't have to do it manually. All of the time that is worked and logged through the app, you have access to a live billing report. You can set the date range that you want to look at, and then we have various statuses for the time, which I will show you how to action. But if you view the report, you will see here the tasks that have been worked on a particular client, as well as the duration and then the RAND value that has added up. So this is the grand total for this period right now, but you can then scroll through that, and then there is a time to invoice per accountant as well. If you pay any kind of overtime or if you pay per hour, you can then analyze their time here. And as I said, anything that is to be queried, say, for example, a CIPC return that takes 3 hours is maybe unreasonable, and so it needs to be queried with a staff member, but it can be done before billing needs to be done, and therefore not delaying that process. You as admin will see the time authorized table. It is a duplicate of the time log table, but you can here authorize time that has been worked. So if you click on this drop down, and you will see there that mark invoice pending, mark internal, and mark invoice are options. In any of the tables, there is a bulk action to choose from. In particular, for the time authorized table, you can go through the time, you can edit anything that you need to edit. And then if you're happy, you can make the status here or select the action mark invoice pending. And if you click run, it's going to move from the time authorized table, and the status will change, and it will move to the time invoice pending table. And here you will see that the status, where it says invoice pending, that particular task for that particular client has a rate group. All of the others that say rate group missing need to be corrected. And that is another setup that I can then show you, but this is a great way to authorize time. If you had selected the status as invoiced or internal, it will pop up to the time log archive table. In other words, you've dealt with it, you've invoiced it, so that you don't ever duplicate time worked on an invoice for a client in a particular period. Two other important setups in order for that report to work properly, the time to invoice report, is your rate group and your rates table. The rate group, you will see this example is rolled out to your database. You can edit any of them according to the rate groups that you charge your clients. So we realized that not every single client is charged the exact same rate for a particular task. And so you need to set up the rate groups as they apply to various, not only tasks, but clients as well, so that you can tailor how that billing report displays. And so you can edit these, you can delete the whole table and add your own, but we have given you this example. And then once you've done that, in the rates table, you will also see examples of the various tasks that we schedule for in various rate groups with various values. Now, again, this is just an example so that you can see how it can be populated. You are welcome to download this to Excel and update it, and then delete the table that is here by selecting all and saying run, and then you can upload the CSV back here. So what's important to know is that for every rate group that you time on, that you want to bill on, you need to have a task assigned to that. So that's why you can see multiple accounting tasks here with multiple rate values. You can specify the rate type, whether it's billable or not, and then the rate group that it belongs to. And that is a column that exists in the client table that you will then assign to each client as they are billed and agreed upon. So that is an important setup section. There are a couple of manual tables in the app that do not automatically schedule a task. And the reason for that is that their frequency and reoccurrence is very erratic. You will then add the records manually to a table. So we have the firm and ad hoc task here, which you will see various drop downs to choose from. You can then assign it to a client if applicable, but if you use the task annual leave, for example, you would then not assign it to a client. So your staff can even log leave here. And then you can give it a status in progress, assign it to an accountant and partner with a due date, if applicable, a date started, and a manager. Even the task that you add manually, you can time on. Annual leave is a bad example to time on, but you can time on any record and it will populate to the report. Then for any of the tasks that we have here, you will see a status column. If you change the status to completed, you will see this is client Benita. You will see that it's now no longer in the firm and ad hoc task table. If you come to the archive of any table, you will see all of the completed tasks there. If you've accidentally completed it, in other words, you selected the wrong status and you change it to anything else and click save, it will pop back to the current table. So this is a really great way to have a current to-do list, if you want to call it, and then the history of tasks already completed. If you find when you've done your data upload that a lot of tasks, for example, in accounting had already been completed, you could archive them as many as you like in bulk, or one by one or multiples by clicking on the select action and clicking run. And they will then have archived. All right, so that's the firm and ad hoc tasks. We then have a specialized task table, which you set up. There is a setup table called specialized scheduler. So this is really our catch-all task table for anything that you want to be reminded of and we do not have a specific table for. So you will see some examples here like pay suppliers. You could offer that service to your client, pay staff on their behalf, raising sales and purchase invoices, paying various things, various random unique tasks for a particular client. You can schedule it here. So how you do that is you click add record, give it a name. So if you need to send out statements, you can give a step-by-step description if you like. Assign it to a client. And now you will schedule the task. So you set it up once, and then depending on the frequency that you select in terms of how you need to do the task, it will repopulate again and again in the specialized tasks table. So for example, if I need to email the statements once a month, let's say by the 25th, and on the very last day of the month, the task should be completed. I can schedule it for the 25th. It's due on the last day of the month. Assign it to a department so that when I time on the task, the timer knows which rate to assign. I can put it to an accountant, a partner if applicable, a manager if applicable. And when I click save, it will be in the scheduler, so you can edit the schedule at any time. And then the very first task is going to populate. So here you can see that it has popped through with the due date of the 30th of September, the scheduled date, the closest working date to the 25th. And now next month on the 21st of October, a new one will populate so that I can be reminded by the 31st of October. So here I can time. You can make notes, you can archive it, and be reminded of various tasks. So here you will see in our table quite a few tasks for multiple clients. And so the best way to maximize the use out of this table is to just filter on the client that you're working on, and you can see various tasks that have been worked on or been scheduled but not necessarily completed. So this is an everyday task. There's obviously some stuff that we need to be on top of here for this client. Okay, and you can see there I have a filter. I can change the filter if there was another client that I wanted to focus on, or I can just clear the filter if I want to see the whole table again. Then we've got the accounting table, which I have shown you some of, and you can track through the basics of bookkeeping here. If there's anything that we do not have a heading for here to tick through, create a specialized task to be reminded of that. And we have the VAT returns, which, as I said, will schedule with the due dates according to how they are registered with SARS. So you'll see here our September guys coming up are the monthlies and the even vendors. And on the 1st of October, the monthlies and the odd vendors will populate automatically to this table, and you can track through the process. Just a note on any of the tables. We schedule into the future. We have no idea how far behind a particular client's tasks are. You can add backlog to any table. Let's say, for example, you get this client and 5 years worth of back returns have not been done. Trust me, it happens. You can specify the period if you like, give a due date if it matters since it's already passed, assign it to various people, and then save it. And it can then be tracked through and timed on, etc., etc. So any backlog that we have not automated, you can add a record to a table to then track and be reminded of, and it will update the old tasks due as you do that. Okay. Then we have CRPC, which is the annual returns table. You will see that the clients here with the due date of the registration date, the first of the month of which they were registered in, the registration number from the client table will pull through if it was populated. And then you can make note of the fee and their turnover in this table and then go and complete it. So it's really great. If you have, say, for example, someone who does the accounting and someone who does the Sept, get your accountants to populate the turnover in this table so that the person responsible for the annual return can access the table. They have absolutely everything they need to complete this return in one view on Sept, and they can then go and complete that task in a much shorter time frame. Okay. Likewise, you can time, you can archive, and make notes. So if, for example, you pay the fee on behalf of your client, you can make a note there saying it's been submitted and to be invoiced, and then you can track through that. CIPC tasks is a manual table for various ad hoc tasks that the company might need. And so you'll see quite a few options here. We've got changing the accounting officer, company details, closing a company name change, registration, director change. Okay, I just need to refresh, then this duplicate will go away. But if you click on one and assign it to a client, so add them as a client with their proposed name before you've obviously completed the registration. Otherwise, you can just put the proposed name in the notes here. But I prefer to just have the client on standby in the client's table. And then you can give it a status, assign it to staff, etc. Click Save and Edit, and the subtask will become available. If you expand this window, you will see the list of documents needed to successfully register a company. So each of the subtasks has their own list of documents, and where applicable, various templates that you can download and make use of. If you click on the little arrow there, then the document will download and you can just change the details. But you can track through the list of documents, the date you requested it, received it, etc. And then under the details for CIPC, when you lodge the task, so you create the transaction on CIPC and you receive the co-reg docs or the CRO 39, if you save that date there under uploaded, when you click save, a due date 10 days from now will populate automatically, and then from tomorrow the day counter will count so that you can keep track of the number of days that have passed before you've emailed those supporting documents. So that, I mean, you will know within 10 days you've got to respond, otherwise you have to start all over again. So you don't have to stress. You can come to the table and make sure that you've actually emailed them the supporting documents before the 10 days have passed. We have the financials and tax table. This will automatically schedule for CIPC registered entities who by law need to complete at minimum the tax return, but generally financials as well, which you can then track through the various processes there, all the way up to submitting the income tax return and making notes of that information. Okay. For bigger clients where you might need to assign more than one person to an audit, for example, if you open the record and open the financials team tab, you can assign the accountant to the table here. So if you need more than one person on an audit, you can schedule them here and everyone can see who was part of that audit. There is a progress selection as well that you can track through the various stages of the financials as it goes through the completion process. We have various payroll tasks, compensation fund, EMP 201s. You can see September has populated here for the 7th of October, which is a working day, so that is still within the correct due date. EMP 501s, which we have coming up now for the end of October. Payroll tasks to track through depending on the cycle that you selected. You will see the cycle type and you can track through the processing of that. The UIF, which I explained, is more specifically for you filing so that you can track the declaration of that. And then in the tax department, here we schedule individuals and sole proprietors with our due date coming up 24 October. This will populate every year according to the tax season that SARS specifies. So only once they announce what the tax season deadline is, will we populate the next financial year. And you can track through many, many columns and income and deduction types there. We then have provisional tax, which you can schedule either for subsidiary registered entities or sole proprietors or even individuals who need to pay provisional tax. And it's going to schedule according to the due date. So all of our August ones have already passed. Hopefully you guys survived that season. But you can see upcoming provisional tax returns here. Now, for this particular table, we have also developed an automated email. If you come to process, we have a provisional tax payment is due, which you can schedule, and it will send an email to your clients notifying them that their provisional tax return is due by the end of the month, and you will be in touch regarding any amounts payable. So for this particular client that is scheduled for the end of September, they will receive an email saying that their provisional tax is due for the first period of 2023 by the 30th of September, and you will let them know if you need any information or if there is a tax to pay. Now, you will see some of the hints towards our integration with e-filing, and we are in the process of waiting for their approval to connect to e-filing to actually declare this tax return directly from Data Grows to e-filing. So we're very excited about that feature, and we will update you as the process progresses. Then we have a SARS tasks table, which, like the CIPC tasks, is a manual table. If you click on Add Record, you will see over 20 tasks to select from. Our favorite one, you will know, being the Update Public Officer. Similarly to CIPC, give it a status, assign it, etc., etc. You click Save and Edit, and you come to SARS subtask, the list of documentation in the subtask that you need to gather together in order to complete the task is available for all of the SARS tasks with various template download links. So if it's a SARS form, you can download a blank one there and then to complete. And we've given you a couple of Word documents as well to make your life easier. Okay, there's the letter that they have to take the selfie with. And if you didn't know, you do not need an appointment to complete this task. You can use the online link which we've provided in that subtask and simply complete their information and upload their documents here. Okay, now what makes this one really special is if you complete the date that you've uploaded to SARS. So this would be the day of the supporting docs being sent to SARS, and you click save. The corresponding turnaround time will calculate as a due date in working days. Okay, this one being 21. And so you know exactly when to call SARS to escalate. And then again, tomorrow the day counter will start counting to 1 so that you can keep an eye on that 21 golden working days in order to follow up. So for a VAT refund, that's an important date to know because you cannot escalate before 21 days have passed. And so the day counter and the due dates are really going to help you without having to manually count. Okay, you can make notes of your appointment dates and case number here as well. Here is the turnover tax. You will see the due date for the next and third and final payments is coming up end of Jan next year. And you can track through the schedules that they require. And then we have looked at the time log section. If you need any assistance with your rate setup, your rate group setup, and how to use that report, please don't hesitate to contact us and ask us. The last few things I want to show you in the setup section is the services not used table. And this is a review of your client's table based on the entity type of the client and assumptions that we have made in terms of the services you could possibly offer them or should be offering them. So for this nonprofit, for example, you have not selected income tax for them and you have not selected EMP 501, even though payroll or EMP 201 has been selected. So this is a review of your client table. If you click on that blue there, it will take you to the client table and you will see here payroll was selected, EMP2 was, but EMP501 wasn't. Perhaps that was a mistake. And so you can correct that by ticking it, okay? Or if, for example, you hadn't offered or they hadn't been quoted yet to do a certain service, you can now extend your scope with the client and then schedule the task. And if you click save, and you go back to that services not used, they will no longer appear there. So here you can see out of all of the clients in our table, there are only 3 that we are not maximizing our services for these clients. Now, in terms of the many, many features that I've shown you, for almost every process and section, if you come to the resources button at the bottom here, our blog is full of posts on how to use the app, various tables, various how-tos that you can go through, as well as our monthly updates to just highlight the changes that we've made and new features that we've introduced. So, like I said, if there's anything that you're not sure of how to do, see if you can find it in the resources tab. Otherwise, at any time, if you get stuck, click on the help icon and you can send us an email, complete your email there, send us a short message, and our support team is really great. And support is free of charge, so don't feel like you can't ask for assistance.